What's up, everybody? It's Tyler with Gaia Forest Gaming, and yeah, I said every couple weeks or so we keep up with the Meta-Byte. We're not gonna do it weekly, just because I like to kind of ruminate about some of these decks sometimes. So, I got 2 weeks worth of decks. I have the winning deck from each of the 2 weeks. I have a couple picks that went X1 as well, just either second place or maybe in the top four. That went X1 of an archetype that we can kind of explore. These are all the events that we had leading up to Nats. So Nats is, at the time of recording, I'll be heading to LA like pretty much right after this, getting on that plane, and I'll see you there if you're there. But I guess at the end of this, we'll talk a little bit about Nats, the meta, what we can expect to see, just how I'm preparing. I don't know about you guys. I'm feeling so unconfident in my choices, and I just gotta maybe get put in the right headspace again. So other than that, though, let's talk about some of these decks. First up, we have a deck that went X1 2 weeks ago. I think this is probably gonna be the most popular like counter meta pick that we're gonna see at Bandai Fest. So Red Hybrid, it's consistent, it's strong, it does really well into the meta. Because let's do the list first, and then we'll talk about what it could do. So this is Mike's list, Michael Luong, and he plays 4 Koromon. We have the 4 of the BT12 Flamon, 4 of the BT7 Flamon, and just 2 of that old Searcher BT4. We got the 2 Ukamon, which is a huge boon to Red Hybrid. Just aggressive decks in general, Ukamon. As we see in Japan, if you guys have looked at Japan's meta, Ukamon has made certain aggro decks just really, really powerful. Just having that generic acceleration in almost every deck. So then we got 4 of the BT12 Aguni. We have 4 of the Burning Gray, of course, from BT12. 3 of that old BT7 Burning Gray. 4 of that stable Aldemon that makes this matchup a nightmare for certain control decks. We have 4 of the BT12 Emperor Gray, a single of the Blitz Emperor Gray, 1 Blitz Omni. We got 3 Grav Crush, 3 Atomic Inferno, 3 Crimson Blaze, and then the 4 of each Takuya, of course. So the reason this deck sits really well in the meta, in my opinion, is it puts your opponent on a clock. And not only does it put your opponent on a clock and do a lot of pressure, but you also have the capacity to turn off their options in security. So if they can't stop you on board, this deck can just punch out, 3 to 5 security in the turn and then Blitz Omni for game very easily with the right setup. So if you're playing this deck, it is a good pick to just go. If you feel like turning cards sideways, if you feel like having a pretty good matchup into Anubis, into security control, into Beelstar, into Red Hybrid just across the board does pretty well against setup decks in general. Does pretty well against decks that go wide as well. Tower decks give it a little bit. Anything with big effects from Digimon might give it a little bit of trouble. But the way you get around this, if you're playing against the Red Hybrid, you just gotta really limit their hybrids in trash. If they have that Takuya out and they have 5 hybrids in trash, you're in the danger zone. So just be aware of that. Just make your plays with smart-based decisions around things like that. Like, when is the right time to swing at security? Am I going to give them a tamer? Am I going to give them their 5th hybrid? What's the risk? What's the reward? It can't just always be a straight race. Sometimes you have to put the steps in your favor, for lack of a better way to say that. But I think Red Hybrid's a solid pick. I know it's super last minute, but Red Hybrid's a good anti-meta pick that will deliver pretty good results as long as you're comfortable with it, you're familiar with it, and you accept its weaknesses for what they are. Up next, let's talk about another deck that went X1. This is Hung Lee's deck, Coco Berry himself, and this is the most toolboxy Greymon toolbox list I've seen. We're gonna see so many one-ofs, so many what-ifs. Let's just go over the list and then we'll talk about it a little bit. And I just wanted to include a Greymon pile deck because Greymon remains such a strong archetype. It has tons of support, tons of options, just toolbox for whatever you need. I need some water. Well, diet soda. Because I'm talking a mile a minute. So he's got the BT5 Coromon. Draw some cards. 3 of that BT12 Agu for search. 3 of that BT14 Agu. It warps. It accelerates. We got 1 Gatsu. It's Pomumon in red. Red has access to a lot more floodgates now. 4 of the Agu X. 1 of that limited Gray X. 2 of the Greymon that could play out the tie. 2 BT5 Greymon to gain some memory and get some boost. We got 1 of that EX, or the Greymon. 3 of Greymon X Antibody. 1 of the EX Greymon. 2 Metal Greymon X. We got the Metal Greymon with Raid. Just 1 of. 3 of the D-Digivolve Metal Greymon that lets you attack on suspended. 1 Metal Greymon X with the Sec Plus. 2 Black War Greymon X, 1 of the Raid War Greymon, 1 regular Black War Greymon, 1 Galmon, a Blitz Omni, 2 Hades Force, 2 Crimson Blaze, Red Memory Boost, 4 Red Trainings, 2 X Antibody, 1 Protoform, 3 of the starter deck tie, or not starter deck tie, 3 of the BT12 tie, and 2 of the memory tie. Just, if you want it, it's in here. This is the charcuterie board of Greymon decks, and whatever cracker and cheese you want to put in your mouth, Cocoa Berry's got it on this little wooden plank here. And it's still solid. I mean, the thing that people don't like about Greymon decks is sometimes they can feel bricky, but the thing that I love about them is you can use those bricks to build houses a lot of times. So just this, I wanted to showcase this deck in specific. He went X1, did well. Also, just you get to see a little bit of all the things that could be in any deck. Sure, every deck doesn't have to have all these options, but if you're playing against a Greymon pile, you have to be at least a little aware that any of these things could pop up. So just, man, you can't play around everything, but you gotta, again, it makes the decision making hard. It makes the lines of play not as linear as you would think when you're playing against a deck like this. Any deck that can also include Crimson Blaze is going to have a huge upside into this meta. That's what makes the red hybrid also so good. You were able to run some Crimson Blaze over there. So overall, solid deck. Greymon pile. I love Greymon. Greymon Gaming. And let's talk about the deck that won 2 weeks ago. And it was Christopher Caseman. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Sorry if I pronounce anything wrong. But he played Mirage, and I think that this is going to be the prototypical go fast blue tower deck. Even though we got the Melga support, I think this deck does it better. I think this deck answers its weaknesses a little bit better as well. So you have the 4 Buka, you have the 4 of the BT11 Gao, 3 of the Goma, 4 of the EX4 Gao. We got 4 of the Gao Gomon, where you could play the Thomas. You got 1 of that hybrid Kumamon. You got 4 of the Galgo that can bounce a level 3. 3 of that Mach Galgo that gains blocker. 3 Zudo Ace for more bounce. You got the limited Mach Galgo, of course. 4 of the Mirage, the BT11 one, the staple one. 1 of the BT13 one that just has evade, just as a 5th one. 3 burst modes for that consistency. 2 of the Full Moon Impact. An Ice Wall. You got 2 blue memory boosts, 4 blue trainings, and then 3 of each Thomas. This deck goes fast. This deck can bounce. It can protect itself. If you're playing a setup deck or any deck that searches, you're going to give out so much memory as soon as they get set up. It is a scary deck to deal with. And this is probably the deck that even though it won't be as popular as Anubis, I think this deck is going to be the most troublesome deck because it's somewhere, but like it's an aggressive deck that sets up a little bit and it hits that spot where it has answers. It's not just setting up swing and if something goes wrong, whoops. It has a way around a lot of that stuff, and it has backup plans with the hybrid for game. After you clear the stack, it can gain memory to pass turn. It's a little bit disruptive, and it's just disruptive enough that it's going to be an issue for a lot of decks to deal with. I mean, I think don't sleep on Mirage. It's a powerhouse. Some of these cards got limited for good reason, and those are statistical reasons that make them just a little bit better than other decks that we see. So that is Mirage. Congrats again to Chris for winning that week. Here, from last week, spoilers, last week, as people were getting ready, all of top 4 was Anubis. All of the X1s were Anubis. The undefeated was Anubis. Here's one of the X1s, just because it's a little bit heavier on a certain tech than other Anubis. So I'm going to talk about this one. This is from Tanner. Tanner played Anubis. Came second place. We got the 4 Sunamon. We got the hits, 4 Sunamon, 4 Ignite, 4 Gobbly, 2 Ghazi, only 1 Psychmon, 4 of the Soulmon, just heavy on that Soulmon. Lack of the Ogremon, but he does have a Dobermon. I guess he wants to evolve into the Dober X. It's just, it evolves over something with save. You're never going to do that, but it's just 2. It has Retaliation as an inheritable, which can sneakily give something Rush. What, if I don't hate that. So you have the 4 Dober X. You got 2 Saber, 4 Blumera, 1 of the Waru Seedramon, which is pretty interesting. I read this to see exactly why. At first I thought maybe just the inheritable, but the on play could kind of come up to, if you pop out a level 3, you just go a little bit wider, and if you can give it Retaliation one way or another, it will end up with a Rush. Or if you pop out the Ignite after your effects resolve, you can, give that Rush if the Merv is out. It's pretty cool. The Chimeramon, which we don't really see in Anubis as much as we do in like the Sons of Chaos deck, but it does create winning board states fairly easily. 3 Merva, 4 Anubis, 3, and this is where it gets a little different. 3 Levia, 1 of the Ruin mode. We got 3 Biting Crush, so he's just leaning into that package, leaning into that free Levia package a little bit. 1 Calling, of course, 3 Purple Memory, and 4 Wisdom. So this is just like an interesting take on the Anubis build, and I'm really stoked to see people kind of play a little bit in the wiggle room they have. In the next list is Tesseros. We're going to see just a little bit of that as well, but still keeping it more on the consistent side. But people can really tailor this list, or any list really, just a little bit to their play style and what they like to do. And this is just kind of showing that. I do like the lean into Levia, the triple biting, triple Levia. I do like the Waru as a one-of. I think the no Ogremon's a little weird. I might have done a 2-2 split with Ogremon and Soulmon. That's just me. It's working for Tanner, so, it comes to preference. When I'm speaking, I'm talking about my preference, not necessarily what I think would be better in the archetype in like a vacuum, but what's better for me and my play style and how I know that I perceive the board and do plays. But congrats to Tanner on second. Anubis is a nasty deck type. The limits were warranted, and we're going to see that. And the undefeated player last week was Tessero. Prince of Purple, the Sultan of something, and he played Anubis. And his little techs are pretty cool too. He's got the 4 Sunamon, 4 Ignite, 3 Gobbly, 2 Ghazi Psychmon, so also on the 11 rookies. It's hard for me to go under 12. If I'm being honest, I'm just so scared. I'm scared. 2 Soulmon, 3 Ogre, 4 of the Dober X, 2 of the Saberdramon, 4 Blumera, 2 Maycrack, just giving yourself that little bit of extra removal for floodgates. It's on play. It's an on play too, so it's very synergistic. 3 Merva, 1 Nidhogg. Tessero loves the Nidhogg. He loves using it as an extender. It can help clear board if you really are in a pinch and need to evolve into it. 4 Anubis, 2 Levia, 1 Death X, 2 of the Shine Gray Ruins. So just really heavy top end, only 4 level 5s, but you're really just facilitating a discard engine with these big boys. You got the calling, single biting crush, 3 purple mem boost, and 4 wisdom training. Solid deck. Again, just a little bit tailored to Tessero's playstyle, but now you guys see the core. You need the Gobblies, you need the Mervas. Throw in a couple Floodgates to taste. You need the Dober X's, you need a couple Sabers, Ogre and Soul, some number of those. The Soulmon to protect you from Crimson Blaze, really. Blue Mara, a couple Maycracks, maybe 1 or 2 other level 5s, a Chimera if you like. I've seen people use Lady Devamon, just the same Mara effect. Lady Devamon can also answer Floodgates. You need 4 Anubis, of course, 3 Merva. People have been running 1 to 3 Levia. You know, I've seen 2 a lot. I think 2 is a good number. I think Biting Crush in some number. I mean, I've seen 0. I see 1 a lot. 2 is not unheard of. We saw 3 on that last list. Ruin Mode and Death X. Death X, once they see it once, they have to respect it the whole set. So there is like an argument for that. Ruin is just a really good card in this deck. It's a good card in general, but in this deck specifically, you get to the 6 so quickly, and then once it's spent, you can use it to keep that advantage for a turn or 2 to really press that advantage and potentially win the game. So this is Anubis. This is Anubis's format. If you're going to Bandai Fest, Anubis will... I will eat my hat if it's not the most represented deck in the building. But I don't want people to forget about the other really strong archetypes. So let's talk about Bandai Fest. So, I'll be wrapping up here. I'm going to go pack, just go to locals, get in a good headspace, and then tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'm going to be going to Bandai Fest. So, I'm going to see you guys. What happened here? What? It's not going up. I can't keep it up. Anyway. Some of my hair's up, some of it's not. So, I'm excited to be there. I'm excited for the event. I'm excited to see everyone. I'm excited to play. I'm going to do my best to not get tilted because I've been testing a lot, and the testing, as it went on, has gotten to a point where I feel like I'm doing worse, but I think I might just be overthinking, and, you know, it's hard to feel good when you're really close to something. So maybe take a step back. Just let's take this second as everyone. If you're prepping for Nats and you're really worried, let's take a step back. Let's take a deep breath and just remember that we're so lucky to be in this community, have these friends, make these connections, and just be able to enjoy this hobby together. Let's go have a good time, celebrate the game, celebrate each other. There's musical guests. There's really cool side events. We're going to be able to cheer on our friends who play One Piece, our friends who play Battle Spirits. We're going to be able to see and preview Union Arena. We're going to be able to do so much fun stuff. And it's going to be a really good weekend. Don't let the game part of the game ruin the game part of the game, if that makes sense. Don't let the competition ruin the joy and fun that brought you to the point where you wanted to compete. So, you know, keep your head up. You might do good, you might do bad, but let's all have a good time. Just remember, it is a game. We're doing this for fun. We're doing this to relieve stress from our everyday life. So let it be that. Whether you win or lose, you know, feel those feelings. Feel upset, feel sad, feel disappointed, but also feel glad when you win, or feel glad for your friends who do well. Or if you all do bad, you know, feel glad that you're there with each other to experience that and support one another. I don't know, just a little bit of a rant about sportsmanship, something that I talk about a lot because I want to work on it a lot, because I tend to feel tilted, and I do my best to not project my negativity to other people and keep it in me, but sometimes you got to let it out too, and it's okay to do it in a healthy way. Just make sure you're doing it in a healthy way. Remember, you know, we're all people, we're all there to have a good time. That being said, watch out for Red Hybrid. Watch out for Anubis. Watch out for, you know, these decks we've been talking about in these deck breakdowns. Check out other creators and what they're talking about. You know, the voice of the community is loud, and many. And don't let the loudest voice sway your opinion on the static in the system, so to speak. Let's be prepared. be good to yourself, be good to each other, and I'll see you on the other end. Hopefully, you'll see me there. You'll say hi. Let's, shake hands, take a picture, and let's have a good time. I love you guys. Truly, the past few years playing Digimon have been the best of my life, and I cannot imagine being part of another community that would be as rewarding and has given me as many friendships and truly family as this one has. So, really, thank you guys. I appreciate it more than you know. With that said, let's go take it home for North America. Let's get to Worlds and show them what we're made of. Yeah. Have a good one. I love you guys.